Hey guys, Brian Stearns here from the SFF Hub. Just a little bit of a treat for you guys today. I'm down here at Salvatore's book signing. Just finished my interview with him, and that's going to be up in the next couple of days. But today I wanted to give you guys something really special. So here's the man himself, Salvatore.
Am I on now? Yeah, that's on. I'm live. Well, hello. Thanks for coming out on this beautiful day in this beautiful city. It's my second time to Vancouver. I get like 3 hours here. This last time was about 5 hours. Anyway, you guys have the luck and the bad luck of catching me on the last day of the tour, and it's bad luck because I've got this terrible cold coming on from the airplanes and shaking hands. So when you come up, even if I go to shake your hand, please don't touch me, you will die. Okay? I feel like someone from Stephen King's The Shining, you know? I walk down the street and people like fall dead behind me. But the good news is, because of that, I'm taking cold medicine, so I'm probably gonna say something really stupid. That'll be fun. So, you know, you might get something good out of it after all. We're on kind of a tight schedule, so we're going to try to be quick with the signing, but I still want to do a little bit of a talk and a Q&A because that's fun. That's the fun part of it, at least for me anyway. So let me give you the FAQ first, all the things that are going on with me real quick. Something happened with me when I was writing Transitions and now Gauntlet Grim. I came to a different understanding of why I do what I do. In Transitions, I've been with these characters for 20 years when I started Transitions, okay? And they've become like friends. And because of the things that are going on in the Forgotten Realms, the pressure that's been exerted on my characters, things had to change. That's why it's called Transitions. And they had to change very dramatically. So even though Gauntlet Grim is billed as the first book of the Neverwinter series, that's because next year, by the way, Neverwinter Nights 3, the computer game, is coming out from Cryptic Studios. And I'm kind of putting the zone in the place that they need it for their game. So I'm working with them where they said, you know, can you do X, Y, and Z so that our game makes sense? And I did. So anyway, I really think of this book more as the fourth book in Transitions, because this is really where you see the transition. The timeline goes forward, and you see Drizzt now having to change the way some of the things happen in his life. But what occurred to me while I was doing that is that this whole thing from 1983, when I started writing Echoes of the Fourth Magic longhand, because I thought that's how authors did it, in a spiral notebook, to Candlelight, with Fleetwood Mac's Tusk album playing in the background. But this whole thing, what it's really been, is a personal journey for me as an author. And what I've come to see is these characters that I'm creating, what they really are vehicles for me to ask myself all the questions about life that we all ask. Why are we here? What's next? What's the point? What is love really? What is all? This is my way of asking myself all of these questions and trying to figure it out as I go along. And I realize that because as Drizzt's life changes, my life is changing as well. When I started writing these books, I was in my 20s. And I thought I knew everything, like everybody else in their 20s. I had all the answers, it was really simple, and you were all stupid if you couldn't keep up with me. And I thought, you know, I'm an author. That means I'm supposed to tell everybody the truth. I'm supposed to be the font of wisdom. Then I got a little older and I realized I don't know anything about anything, like everybody else. And what it occurred to me that really the job of the author is to get other people to ask the questions of themselves. If you're doing that, you're doing your job. And the way you're doing that is you're asking the questions of yourself as you're writing. So it sounds like a subtle change, but it's been pretty profound. By the way, that crying baby is really not going to bother me. I have a 6-month-old grandson, and it's the sound of the angels to me, so don't worry about it, really. Really. And that's what this journey, I've come to understand that's what this journey really is to me. So, you know, I'm glad you all are sharing it. I hope you're all enjoying it. But it's really for me is why I'm doing this. And it was really freeing to learn that. A couple other things going on this year. A couple of months ago, The Bear came out. And The Bear is the last book in the saga of the First King. I created this Demon Wars world in the early 90s, mid-90s. And this is like my Forgotten Realms, my Shannara, my Middle-earth. And I wrote the 7-book series, huge books, many, many characters, many plot lines, defining this fantasy world that is my world, if you will. And my goal was to do this big series defining the world, then go back and do personal stories like the Dritz books set in it. So a few years ago, I wrote a book called The Highwayman, and I fell in love with the character immediately. And he's got a very different perspective on the world. And I knew there was something bugging him. He was asking himself a question and couldn't get an answer. And so I followed his journey through the book called The Ancient, The Dame, and now The Bear. And with The Bear, he found his answers. So those 4 books comprise the saga of the Fourth King. It's done. I really can finish a series, see? And that came out in August. Next month, early in the month, November 5th, I think it is, the 3rd book in the series I wrote with my son Gino, Stone of Tomorrow books, is coming out. And that finishes that series as well. Now, Stone of Tomorrow it's a Forgotten Realms series. It takes place around the time of the Halfling's Gem. Dritz and the gang are in it. We've got 2 new characters that Gino and I followed on their journey around the events that happen in the Halfling's Gem and the time period going up to the Legacy. And what was really cool for me about writing those books is I didn't do most of the writing. Gino actually did most of the writing, which was great to watch him mature as a writer. But I got to rewrite some of my favorite scenes from like the Halfling's Gem. So think of a dwarf on a flaming chariot and pirate ships. I got to rewrite that scene from a different point of view. It was a lot of fun. So that series ties up in November. I don't know if we'll be going back to that or not because Gino just landed a job at 38 Studios as a narrative designer on our MMO, and I'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so next year, we've got the 2nd book, Neverwinter Wood. I'm halfway through now in that series. I think it's going to be called Neverwinter Wood. That could change. Following up Gauntlgrim. And I've got 2 new things and 1 trip down memory lane. The new things are I've just signed on with Gino to do a 6-book comic series with Dritz. New Adventures takes place after Gauntlgrim, right at the end of Gauntlgrim. It's kind of a side street. I'm not going to go down in the books, so we're going to do it in comic books instead. And that'll start sometime around late spring, I think. The other new thing is, well, 4 years ago, I was sitting at home doing an e-signing. We do e-signings from our website. And the phone rings, and I pick up the phone. And the voice on the other end says, "Can I talk to Bob Salvatore?" I said, "Speaking." He goes, "Oh man, I can't believe I'm talking to you. You're like my favorite author. This is Kurt Schilling." I'm a Red Sox fan. I'm from Massachusetts. This is the bloody sock guy that finally broke the Ruth curse. I mean, I didn't believe him. I'm like, "Yeah, sure it is." Actually, I said other words, but I won't repeat them here. There are kids here. But I looked over, and my wife is standing there laughing at me because his publicist had called earlier, and she knew it really was him. So she's laughing. She goes, "It's him." And I go, "Oh, I can't believe I'm talking to you." And he goes, "Oh, I can't believe I'm talking to you." And I'm like, "I can't believe I'm talking to you." So for 20 minutes, we're going back and forth, not believing we're talking to each other, apparently. And Kurt says to me, "I'm getting old as a baseball player. I'm getting ready to retire, and I don't want to sell used cars or insurance. I want to do something I love." And what he loves more than anything but his family and baseball are video games. So he started a video game company. And he wanted me to come in and define this world for his massive multiplayer online role-playing game. And then, if that wasn't enough, we hired our art director at the same time. And you might have heard of him. His name is Todd McFarlane, who did Spawn, Spider-Man, one of the big honchos in comic books. So Todd's the art director. I'm the creative director. So I assembled my team, including both of my sons were on this team, but my old Seven Swords group. And we compiled this 10,000-year history of the world of Amalur. And we came up with all the races and how they fit together and what the socioeconomic structure of the world is, and some of the hooks. And I injected my philosophy of writing into the video game, if you will. We can get into that more if someone wants to know about it. But it's been a 4-year journey, and it's been a lot of fun. About a year and a half ago, a company called Big Huge Games was on the chopping block from a bigger game company called THQ. So we knew the people at Big Huge Games. They did Rise of Nations and Catan. They're a well-known studio, and they were developing a role-playing game. They had this great engine for like PlayStation, Xbox, PC role-playing game, single-player game. But they didn't have a good intellectual property to attach it to. So we bought them. And we showed them our intellectual property, and they all bought in. And so our first product is coming out next year. And it's called Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. It's a single-player game for the PS3, the Xbox, and the PC. And I gotta tell you, it is absolutely gorgeous. The work they're doing down in our Baltimore studio is amazing. So, next year starts. It all starts with the video games. And then I mentioned, yeah, it's a lot of fun. And then I mentioned the trip down memory lane. Early next year, a book coming out called Best of the Realms, R.A. Salvatore. And what that is a collection of all my Forgotten Realms short stories. Like the story about Bruner and his first battle that was in Dragon number 58 or something, way back in the late 80s. And that'll be out, again, early in the year. I'm not sure the exact date, but what was great about that is I got to go back and look at all the short stories and do like a one-page introduction of why I wrote it, what was on my mind, what I was trying to accomplish when I was doing that short story. So I had a lot of fun with that, and that'll be out. So that's the FAQ. That's what's going on in my not at all busy life. And I want to open this up for questions because that's a lot more fun for me than just gabbing. We do have a name for the MMO, but I can't tell you. It's codenamed Copernicus, and that's where we're leaving it. And the single-player game was called Mercury until this year when they called it Reckoning. We don't want to confuse the issue right now. We've got a long time still before we're releasing it. We've got a couple of years still for the MMO to finish building it. It's amazing the amount of work that goes into these things. The number of people you need, the number of man hours you need. So we've got a couple of years, and we're not going to give too much away early on. You know, there's a whole process of rolling it out, because we don't want to give everything away now when it's 2 years from now. So right now it's called Copernicus. If you go to 38studios.com, you will be able to follow the progress, see the trailers for the RPG, and just be able to follow the progress. They have a couple of other sites like 38watch.com, which are interactive forums for people talking about what they want to see in a video game, so check it out. Yeah. Okay.
I was just wondering if you're going to have anything updating on your own personal website about that stuff, or
No, I don't know that I'll be talking too much about it because they're very tightly controlling what we can say. So I'll have links to it, but I think it's going to go in one place because, you know, one of the biggest challenges for the people is Kurt can't shut up. He's like a kid in a candy store with this. If you get him talking about the game privately, he'll probably tell you everything we're doing. And so the biggest challenge for the marketing people is throwing a harness on him and pulling him away from the camera because he's getting better now, but early on, oh boy, like Kurt, you can't say that. And he'd be like, oh no, this is really cool. I know it's really cool. It's why you can't say it. Huh? Yeah. He's so excited about it. It's pretty amazing what we're doing. So a few weeks ago, I went into the studio. I had to do a play test on Reckoning because I'm writing the second trailer. Todd's directing it, I'm writing it. So I had to do a play test on it to really learn the game more and what they're doing with the game. And I brought my son Gino in, the one I write with. And we went in there, we played it, and we had fun. But then I was still in the Maynard studio. I wasn't down in Baltimore. I was in Massachusetts. So we went out, and I wanted to show Gino the work we're doing on the MMO. And there's one zone in the game that he had actually designed early on, the overview of the zone. And he saw the white box that they did of the zone. The white box is like the first art pass-through of the zone. And he saw the work they're doing on the MMO. And he said, he was supposed to be going out to LA to do some screenwriting. And he said, I have to be a part of this. And he applied, and he just got hired. So now both of my sons work there. Another reason I like the studio.